They say revenge is a dish that is best served cold, and the Denver Broncos drubbing of our most hated rival, the Vegas Raiders, was ice cold, boy, and I am incredibly hyped for it. The news gets even better as we look at some of the advanced analytics and the metrics about just how great this win was, and I just got to ask, do you believe yet? Because we've been saying all along from the preseason, even when we were down 0-2, we're like, hey, this is going to be a good team, hold your horses. And after that Tampa win, everyone's like, yeah, but it was just one game. Hold your horses. We're not a playoff team yet. And after the Jets, they're like, cool your jets, dude. It's just 2 games. And now we're rattling back. First rookie to win 3 games as a quarterback for the Denver Broncos in franchise history. He goes out there and sets another franchise record and hits 11 different targets. That's better than any quarterback we've ever had play for this team. It is wild how it is. And like I have said from the jump, that our defense is going to keep us in all of these games. And Bo Nix is just going to keep stepping forward each game and get better and better. And that second half, you haven't seen quarterback play like that second half since we had Peyton Manning, and that's just a cold hard fact. We got a ton to break down. If you're new to the channel, I've never jumped off. I've been riding this horse like a bucking bronco since we hired Sean Payton, and I'm just super pumped. This is an incredible day. I'm Ben, diehard Denver Broncos fan. Hit this like and subscribe button if you finally believe, or if you've all along believed, just hit that like button real hard for me. So obviously, this entire game turned on Patrick Surtain. Maybe he might go down as being the best cornerback in Broncos history. Before the game, he and Champ Bailey exchanged jerseys, a really cool moment. But, man, you see him completely change the vibes of this game. Before that, we had seen Brock Bowers do what I was worried about. I saw what the Denver Broncos could do against elite wide receivers, and I'm not worried. Throw any wide receiver in the league against Pat Surtain and even against Riley Moss, and I'm not worried about it. But we have yet to play against an elite tight end, and frankly, that is all that the Raiders have now that Devontae is holding out. And so I was worried because we've seen George Kittle almost set the franchise record for receptions against for a tight end, or yards for a tight end, in the first half against the Broncos several years ago. Kelsey has eaten us up at times, and so I was worried, what are we going to do about Brock Bowers? And man, that first drive, we saw what they were going to do, and they were going to target him hard. He had a ton of catches, and major props to Vance Joseph for how he changed. And the biggest change that he made was coming into this week, Vance Joseph led the league in cover 0, meaning he's bringing the house because he trusted his elite corners to guard their wide receivers, and then our guys were going to get home. You can't play like that when you have a tight end, because then they're being guarded by like a linebacker one-on-one. And you even saw like Brock Bowers get away with a push on PJ Locke that they probably wouldn't let a wide receiver get away with a push, but tight ends get away with that all the time. Go watch any tape of Gronkowski and it will drive you bonkers, because he could get away with stuff that wide receivers couldn't. But at the same time, safeties can push them harder than you can push a wide receiver. So it does go both ways. But what you saw towards the end of that game, how many of our sacks were getting home with 4? There was at least 2 sacks, and then even that play at the end that looked like a safety to me, but they ended up ruling it intentional grounding. That was the Denver Broncos getting home with 4. And so major props to Vance Joseph to kind of swap on a dime there. And from that moment on, after that pick 6 that wasn't intended for Brock Bowers, the 100 yards set the franchise record for the longest interception return in franchise history. And guys, I'm telling you, he's the best in the league. You see Sauce Gardner take himself out of that Jets game when it looked like it was over, and then put himself back in when the Jets had a chance to close out the Vikings in London. They ended up dropping that game. But Pat Surtain is the one. You just look at how incredible this game was, that we go from being 0-2 to beating 2 of the tougher teams on the road, beating a team that we have not beat since 2019. We're talking 8 games in a row that the Raiders have had our number. And early on, guys, it felt like, oh my goodness, the momentum and the air was sucked out of that stadium. And major props to everyone who was there. Let me know in the comments if you were there, how raucous was it? It was awesome to see that no one left. Everyone kept believing. And from that moment on, the Denver Broncos actually scored more consecutive points than they had since 2014. We rattle off 34 consecutive points. The Raiders go up 10-0, and at one point we're up 34-10 on them, and it just felt incredible. Just seeing Bo Nix took a massive step forward. If we take a look at his numbers, I already alluded to the fact that he hit 11 different targets, and seeing that he was 19 to 27, it was really cool to see. There was a couple times I was texting my dad, texting my brother-in-law, run the ball, run the ball. I love that Sean Payton did not have Bo Nix throw for 50 times in this game. I think Sean Payton wants to prove to the league that he was right on Bo Nix, and you do that by winning. And so he got around to it, and we started to run the ball a lot better. Looking at Javonte Williams averaging almost 5 yards a clip here. Seeing Jaleel be able to get loose in some space. Loved the end around we finally ran for Marvin Mims. Felt like all last season we had Jerry Jeudy like faking that end around, and we finally ran it, and that was so sick. Other amazing things that we saw about this game here was just like his accuracy here, that he spread it around to 11 different targets. He accounted for 3 touchdowns. The amazing little put the ball over the goal line looked exactly like a Drew Brees play right there. So sick, you guys. And he's going to keep taking steps every single day. We are now 3 wins in a row. And again, these were wins that when that giant ESPN book that picked our entire season came out and said, these were all wins that we were predicted to lose at the start of the season. We were drastic underdogs in all 3 of these games. After our 2 wins against the Jets and Tampa Bay, Vegas switched their line and we were favored by 3. We just shattered that. Like, that was a disrespectful line because of how much the wind is at our backs. And so just seeing that 3 wins in a row, Bo Nix took a huge step forward. That second half was nasty. And if we have Bo Nix like that, we are going to make the playoffs. And we're not going to just make the playoffs with a week 14 bye. We're going to scare some teams in the playoffs, because who wants to play against that defense? And I'm telling you, nobody wants to play against that Denver D, because we're not even totally healthy. We got Browning coming back. We do have some injury concerns on our offensive line. There was a time in there where you had Frank Crum in there as the backup to Garrett Bowles, who went down, and you had Palchevsky go down, and so Matt Pert was in. So you're now talking about like our 4th string tackle, and yet still Bo wasn't getting pressured on those plays, and that was awesome. The best throw of the day was his throw deep to Troy Franklin, and if he starts to have that in his arsenal, I really do think there is a hidden chapter to this Sean Payton playbook that we're finally starting to flip over to Bo Nix, and that he's seeing it. And you saw that deep play to Troy Franklin was awesome. Would have loved to see Troy come down with that. You also, after that play, saw a ton of kind of some anger. Moment ago on the sidelines after that. Trying to get this thing here to play. You saw, I'm not sure why it's not playing. You saw Bo Nix and Sean Payton kind of get it into a heated little discussion and start yelling at each other. And then you saw Bo Nix go back. And so it was just incredible to see the famous play last year where Sean Payton is chewing Russell Wilson out, and Russell Wilson, like a beta male, walks away and doesn't ever come back. You see Bo like come back multiple times, and then he's laughing on the sidelines. And then again, after the next drive, you see him and Sean Payton again talking it out. And a lot of the rumors on Twitter are that Bo Nix was frustrated with how long it was taking plays to come into his headset and to get those plays called, so that they couldn't actually get any, he couldn't read the field or any of that. And so he was kind of blaming Sean Payton on like, hey man, just get me those plays immediately. It's going to be interesting to see the post-game press conference and see what really was going on there. But I just love the fact that Bo Nix stood up to Sean Payton, and that there's like a mutual level of respect there. Bo Nix does not look like a rookie quarterback, you guys. Like, he did not walk away with his tail between his legs after last week, -7 yards at halftime. Everyone in your text thread being like, haha, I have more yards than Bo at half. And he goes out and he scores 3 touchdowns himself, throws for 2, the sneak for the 1. And he changed the narrative on it, and he's going to take steps forward every single week. We got a crazy important game this week coming up with the Chargers at home. You're not going to miss it. I got Chargers Insiders popping on right here, just like I did this week. You got to feel incredible. We are now the 5th spot in the AFC, so we are locked into the playoffs right now. Everyone said that was crazy. This is Sean Payton's winning month. He's the winningest coach in the month of October. We got another home game. He gets to go back to the team he knows better than anyone else on a Thursday night game, and then come play the hapless Carolina Panthers here at home. So that 5-game winning prediction that I told you all offseason was insulting. We're going to hit 5 wins by the end of October, and it's not even going to be close, guys. Like, this is a great time to be a Denver Broncos fan. We've got a ton to believe in, and none of us ever doubted. It is good to be back. The Raiders are behind us, and woo! Let's go! Doesn't even matter that I missed. You can't get me down. Best day ever.